Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 10 of season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team career mode, where today we're here back ready for the French Grand Prix. Now obviously if you missed out on yesterday's video from the Canadian Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out. It was arguably one of the craziest races we've had all season. 4 safety cars slash virtual safety cars, 4 retirements, a wet to dry race. It certainly was an interesting one. Well, I would definitely recommend going back and seeing. Obviously, click the eye at the top right-hand side of your screens, obviously, if you missed out on that video. But today, though, heading to the French Grand Prix, some big news. More upgrades on the car. Means we're now better than Ferrari and Red Bull. We are the second fastest team in Formula 1 as of right now, and we are not too far off Mercedes either as well at the moment. So heading into the second half of the season, maybe we can really be a serious title threat in the latter stages of this championship. Probably we're going to be more looking towards Season 3. Obviously, the aim is to try and win the Constructors' Championship as well on F1 2020. You can see, drivers-wise, we are now 1 clear of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes there and sat in P2, but Constructors were still 120 points back from Mercedes as well. But the French Grand Prix circuit, hopefully one that'll suit our car quite nicely. You can see at the moment we've got a couple of upgrades still in the works, but hopefully we can try and get one more maybe on the car over the coming weeks as well. But anyway, let's head over to France. Coming into our first qualifying run then, I decided to skip all the way through practice. There was nothing really to be discussed from practice ready for this weekend, but obviously last year's French Grand Prix qualifying didn't exactly go well for us, so hopefully this time round we can have a bit of a better day out of it. Coming down in through Sector 3 then, really we've got no excuse now not to make it into Q3 week in, week out here, but sometimes the AI do still surprise us through the final corner. I've got to remember just how long it is to the start-finish line. Bottas on a 1:28.0, current provisional pole. We are going to do a 29.0, so about a second off. George Russell at 27.9, where's he found that time? Maybe this weekend might be George's. So clearly then qualifying looking very tightly bunched at the moment, but we're going to have to go for an extra run then in Q1. Not quite what I wanted to have to do, but that's sometimes a sacrifice you've got to make in Formula 1. The AI, this track is probably one of their strongest on F1 2020, but we need to try and find about half a second if we want to be a little bit more on the money this weekend. Good run through the first couple of corners, that's instantly a 10th in the pocket. Coming down into Sector 3 once again then, we're already about half a second up on our previous lap, and I know we made a bit of a mistake through here. It's just amazing how late you can brake now in this car, and still how quickly he manages to stop through there. We aren't going to find as much time as I thought we would, I'll be honest. We didn't particularly get a good run through there again that time round, but hopefully with just a few corners to go. We are still about half a second up at the moment, so it should be good enough, obviously, like I said, at the very least, to get us comfortably through into Q2. Final corner, about 6/10 up. Try and avoid the wheel spin out of the final turn. Yeah, we're going to be about 6.5 up at the end of Q1 there. It's going to be a 28.3. P9, not ideal, but only 4/10 off our teammate, so we'll take it. So Q1 done and dusted then, and George Russell only 0.004 off Sebastian Vettel, who set the pace in the first session there. We're less than 4/10 off pole, and we're 9th at the moment. That's just how close it seems to be at the moment there. But Albon again out in Q1, joined by Matsushita, both Haas and both Williams. Rather worryingly, that's no longer really a surprise this season. Coming into Q2 then, we're only going to get one shot at this to try and get a lap hooked up. I've also noticed Bottas, championship leader, is in the drop zone, so he needs a good lap right in the dying stages of this session as well. We might be the last car to get onto a run here. I don't know for sure, but we need to try and keep it nice and tidy once again. A bit loose and leery through the first couple of corners. Push into the absolute limits and maybe just a little bit more that time round. On the anchors just after the 100 board, down into 3rd gear through turn 4. Try and keep it nice and tidy, use up all the curbing as much as you dare, and then try to avoid the wheel spin. On the exit you really can lean on the curbs around this circuit, nice and tidy, out onto the back straightaway. Hamilton's done a 27.4 at the moment. I've got no idea where he's managed to find that sort of pace in his Mercedes, but down towards the midway stage of the Mistral straight, brake nice and tidily, down into second gear, open up the exit, a little bit loose over the curbing once again. Are we going to be up on Lance Stroll? We're 2/10 up on P12 at the moment, so we need to try and keep it nice and tidy through this final sector of the lap. Trying to keep it a bit tidier that time round, a little bit of a better run through that corner. Oh, that's not good though. Way too much understeer through there. We're going to have to use up all the curbing on the exit once again, just pushing the limits. But the FIA clearly not too worried. They're allowing us to be, a little bit flexible this weekend. Final corner, leaving it in second gear that time round. Short shift back up to third to avoid the wheel spin. Shortest run to the finish line. Just watch the clock tick by. I don't think that's good enough. P8, it is good enough. I didn't think that was anywhere near where we needed to be in the end, but we've scraped through into Q3 there. Only just, however, what's that? We scraped through by less than 1/10 of a second in the end over the likes of Lance Stroll, Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc there, but it's both Mercedes, both 212 Motorsport cars there, both Ferraris, Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon and both AlphaTauris through into Q3. We're not quite on the pace this weekend, but we're going to get one more shot. Hopefully, we can get at least close to a 27. Here we go then. We've only got one more chance to try and get ourselves further up the order here. We were able to successfully navigate our way into Q3 for the 4th time running. Let's see if we can try and finally get our third pole position maybe of the year. I'm more interested to see if we can actually beat George even. Don't know how I've got those two muddled up. But hopefully, we can just try and keep it nice and tidy. Ooh, pretty much on the limit through the first couple of corners, but the best run we've had through there all session. Down into turn 4. Just trying to keep it nice and tidy, a little bit understeery through there. Oh god, very, very wide on the exit. Opening up the run out onto the back straightaway a little bit more there, but we're just pushing the car to the absolute limits. Don't quite feel like we're able to get enough out of it this weekend, at least on one lap pace still. We've gone with, as always, quite a race-orientated setup here, but down towards the midway stage of the Mistral straight again. Ride those curbs as much as we dare. Try and much better run off the exit this time round. A 48.9 is George's time. We're pretty much even with him as we head down into Sector 3, I should say. Let's just try and keep it nice and tidy. You can just brake so late into that. In fact, you barely need to brake anymore. Managing to leave it in 4th gear that time round. Just pray that you get close to the apexes through a couple of places around here. The cars now are so quick that honestly I get to the point sometimes where I can't think quick enough to be able to find the apexes and everything like that. You're sort of just guessing to a certain point. At the final corner though, down towards the finish line, just watch the clock slowly tick by. It's going to be a 28.1. So it is our fastest lap of the weekend, but it's only good enough for 8th at the end of the day. They're not quite where I want it to be. One of our worst qualifying sessions actually in the last few weeks.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Bottas, Hamilton and Max Verstappen. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So Mercedes still looking like they're on top of the pace at the moment. They're a big gap then to, well, Ferrari pretty close on the money, and then Perez, I don't know what Racing Point have done, but they've got an absolute weapon of a car at the moment as well. They're a bit of a gap this weekend, doesn't quite seem to suit our car as much. George in 6th, Ocon able to split us in 7th there, and then the AlphaTauris rounding out the top 10. But anyway, let's dive in then here for the French Grand Prix.
Hello and welcome to the Circuit Paul Ricard, current home of the French Grand Prix, an event dating all the way back to 1906. It's been held at many venues over the years, with famous moments from Dijon and Manicourt the feature of many a highlights reel. And let's hope we see more of those in the race today. The Circuit Paul Ricard then, a 3.6 mile track, 25 miles east of Marseille. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, with the main overtaking chance expected going into turn 8. Top speeds today should be around 205 miles per hour. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Vettel, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Ocon, Mr. Monaco, Kvyat, and Pierre Gasly, Norris, Leclerc, Lance Stroll, and Raikkonen, Sainz, Ricciardo, Alexander Albon, and Nobuharu Matsushita, Magnussen, De Vries, King, and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the French Grand Prix. Hopefully, this season, we don't start from the very back of the grid. We've got no grid penalties this weekend, so maybe there's a good chance to try and score some decent points here, obviously. At the moment, I'm trying to set myself up to believe the fact that we can try and beat Mercedes week in, week out at the moment, but I think realistically, just trying to remain somewhere near a title fight might be a much better reality than just hoping for a miracle at the end of the day. I'm having a look, we might just be able to stretch out a one stop. The game doesn't think it's possible, but we'll see what happens with that early on. There's a very good chance we're going to see a safety car in this race, so I'm not going to try and put too much spare fuel in the car either. But a nice dry weekend here from Circuit Paul Ricard. It is actually a very, very quick race, in all honesty, as well. So hopefully we can keep it clean and tidy on lap one and go from there. We got George just in front of us. The Alpha Tower is just behind us. Let's dive into it then. Here for round 10 of the season from the French Grand Prix. We need a good race out here today if we want to continue the pressure with Hamilton. It's 5 red lights. Ocon, that was cat-like reactions if ever I've seen him. Straight past our teammate on the run down towards turn 1. He might be able to get himself up into 5th place as he tries to go side by side with Perez, one of the Alpha Towers. Holy moly, I was just trying to avoid that on the inside. A little bit wild there through the first corner as we almost rejoin into the side of Gasly there. But yeah, Kvyat living up to the torpedo reputation as we are just going backwards at the moment. Thought one of the Alphas was going to understeer out wide into me as Leclerc tries to turn in. A lot of contact off the start, but I think we've kept the front wing intact. That's always the most important thing. Not a good start for ourselves though. We're outside the top 10 as we were just trying to avoid incidents going on around us there at the start. Yeah, a little bit all over the road, but hopefully we can try and get our head down and focus nonetheless. They're side by side just in front as we head through the chicane for the first time. Russell and Kvyat going side by side still, so hopefully there's something to capitalise. Coming to the end of lap 1 already. All these guys really starting to slow each other up. You can see we're going to try and look around the outside of Charles Leclerc. He's on the harder compound. We've made it work. Holy moly. Wasn't quite expecting that to work out as well as it did, in all honesty. But Charles, clearly not happy with that. He's going to try and send it back up the inside. Should be able to defend through the final corner. Slam the door shut on the exit. And we do stay inside the points then. So we've lost 2 places on that opening lap. The Alpha Towers are looking rather quick this weekend as we head back down in towards turn 1. Gasly, homeboy. Sure he wants to score some points at his home venue this weekend out. But we need to try and get round him. Very straight line speed then is like around this track. Obviously remember back at the Spanish Grand Prix where we spent half the race stuck behind, I think it was Danny Kvyat on that occasion. But the Alpha Tower is still looking very quick down the straights here. So it might be a little bit more difficult once we've got the DRS. Perhaps it'll be a bit easier, but yeah, Russell sat behind the other one, so it very much is 2-1-2 Motorsport versus Alpha Tauri this weekend at the moment. Every team seems to get that one weekend where they're right on the pace, but right on the pace means being able to at least tie with Mercedes. Getting a good run out of the final corner. We might be able to try and look past Pierre now this time round. As we head down towards turn 1, DRS has now been enabled, and we've done it. Right around the outside of the Alpha Tower. I'm guessing they didn't have any ERS to use out of that final corner there. We've still got a little bit in the mix at the moment. Obviously, we've put so many engine upgrades on the car. The ERS regen is quite quick nowadays as well there, but that's exactly what we needed. We're past one Alpha Tauri. Let's see if George can get past the other. Maybe we can follow him by as well. We shouldn't really be battling these guys. We should be at least sort of battling the Ferraris and, well, at least be close to the Mercedes as well here. We've got a good run on George Russell. You can see Kvyat beginning to struggle just a little bit. George is going to go to the outside. We might have a look to the inside here. Don't quite want to make it 3 wide. There's a bit of contact with Danny Kvyat. Hopefully we can try and get the drive off the exit to the outside as we head down the second part of the Mistral Straight. We should be past him before we even get into the corner. Yes, we are. We're all over the back of George as well. We're going to try and make a double overtake out of it if we can up the inside of our teammate. Not the place where you want to be going side by side, but we've done it. Up into P7 then of this Grand Prix. Let's now see if we can close back up to Perez, as they've already managed to build up a 4-second margin in 3 laps. Coming on to lap 6 then, we got the first few pitters in diving it in, so we're going to be up into P5 of the Grand Prix. I'll be honest, the tyres are hanging on quite nicely at the moment. I definitely feel like these ones have got another couple of laps in them. At the very least, obviously, we're trying to take a bit of a gamble, see if we can make the one-stop work here, but yeah, they're working nicely. There we go, George into the pits. It was a good job I didn't want to dive it in at the end of this lap. The amount of times we've accidentally blocked him so far this season when we've come into the pits. But Bottas is up in the lead. We are taking a bit of time still out of Perez. The team want us in the end of this one. Don't know if we'll try and dive it in this lap, or maybe try and stretch 1 lap longer, as everyone behind us now on mediums. For the top 2 then into the pits, so we're going to try and go 1 lap longer than the pair of them, see how we can make this work at the moment. The tyre warning has just come up, but with a bit of luck they're all going to get stuck in a bit of traffic further down the field as well. So hopefully the tyres can last 1 extra lap here, and then we can see if we can take the hards to the end of the race. It's so weird. I do actually really enjoy racing this track. It's not, well, I say racing this track. When you're just pounding out the laps, I do find it quite fun. But yeah, really there just aren't many opportunities to actually race people, unfortunately. And yeah, real life, it's a completely different story. The tyres, yeah, definitely starting to go off as we head through Sector 3. Hopefully we can just keep it all in one piece, though, as we head now down into the pit lane. I can never quite remember where this pit lane goes. That's definitely not quite right. Make sure we get it stopped. There we go, nice and calmly into the pit. So Charles Leclerc is going to move up into the lead ahead of Norris, Raikkonen and Stroll. There is a bit of a gaggle of cars there, but I don't think the leader has been held up too badly by them. Neither has one of the Ferraris, so I'm going to guess that is Bottas and Verstappen, who have had some good, clean running. Into our pit box we go, though. Verstappen, new fastest lap of the race. Where are we going to come out in all of this? I think we're going to come out behind all of these cars. But we're going to the end of this race. We need to be out ahead of the Alpha Tauri's, however. No, we are not. Well, we're going to be side by side with one of them at the very least. Come on, hold on round the outside. Almost a bit of contact. But we hold firm, and we hold ahead of Danny Kvyat there. Now, we just got to get our head down and focus on trying to get around some of these slower traffic. Coming down into Sector 3, I do feel sorry for someone like Nick Latifi. Ugh. I don't feel sorry for him anymore if he's just going to turn in on us like that. I was about to say, kind of feel sorry for him. The fact Williams really don't seem to be making any progress in this series, but if he's going to be a dick, then we're going to send it through the final corner. See you later, mate. Have fun in your Williams. Esteban Ocon and Nick de Vries going side by side down into the chicane. Hopefully we can try and capitalise on this. Going for the slow in, fast out line. Maybe we can try and get the run on the Haas car here. It's going to be very, very close. We got a lot of ERS, though, still to use. Up the inside we go. In towards the kink. We should be able to get the move done. Yes, we do. So we're up into P17 of this race. Esteban Ocon, though, it was running up in, what, like 4th or 5th. Really seems to have lost out through the pit window because he's now behind our teammate George Russell and still stuck in a bit of traffic. I don't think Renault quite had the pace he was able to get out of that car in the first stint. However, I'm a lot more worried about the top runners because, theoretically, if this strat works out the way I want it to, they're going to be closing up to us at the end of this race. Getting ready to come out onto the Mistral Straight once more. Hopefully we can try and get past the Williams and the Renault here. Ride the curbs. Look at the slingshot run we're able to get out onto the straightaway. There's not going to be much Jordan King's going to be able to do. Ocon's going to go to the inside. Holy moly. Jordan King just a sitting duck there. I wasn't expecting him to be that slow down the straight, but we do get round him. And yeah, Ocon and I just trying to work together a little bit. The Renault obviously on softer tyres than ourselves, so we should be fairly even on pace. There's no point slowing each other down at the moment. Hopefully this time round we can try and get a run on Esteban Ocon. We haven't opened up a particularly good run onto the Mistral straight, but this car is just so quick in the straights there, around the outside of Ocon, who he does try to keep the nose there. The proximity arrow, I'm adamant, went white to signify that he was behind us, but well, I'm into P14. The team are happy with the overtake as well. George is the next car up the road. He's on soft, so obviously he's on the two-stop strategy. Like most of the other top runners in this race, we are on the one-stop, so we're a little bit back at the moment, and they'll all be quicker than me at the end. But we've just got to hope these hards stay in good nick. Us into the pits. I think this is most of the guys that were on the soft, so we're going to be way out ahead of them, as we probably should be. I think Kimi Räikkönen is in the lead of that little gaggle of cars. But yeah, back up then into the points as well. Things you love to see. Oh, there we go. George into the pits once again, so we're not going to get held up by him on dying tyres. So he's now basically on the same strat as all the guys on the one stop, so he should know about roughly where he is in this race. We're going to be back up now into 6th place. So we're hanging on in there well at the moment, but again, the later into this race we go, the more time we're probably going to be losing to the cars around us. There we go, a few more of the top runners into the pits. Verstappen and Hamilton into the pit lane, so now we know roughly how much of a margin we've got over those guys, and the fact we've got to basically try and defend it for half a Grand Prix still to the checkered flag. I think Bottas was a little bit further up the road as well, but at the moment though, there's a big train of cars that have come out between us. It's looking alright. We might have finessed a bit of a strategy here. If the tyres last, that's the big question. What are they up to? Up to only less than 20% wear on most of them, so it's looking alright. There we go, another one into the pits. Sebastian Vettel even, I should say. Into the pit lane, so we're up until the podium now. Just behind Perez and Bottas still, who are both trying to hang on out here for as long as possible at the moment. Breathe. Holy moly, that was close. Oh, we got yellow flags. Who's struggling? This doesn't bode well for us, though, because it's going to completely kill any race lead we had. It's Nobuharu Matsushita. Come on, we don't want a safety car today. I think we got away with it. I don't think there's a safety car for that. Matsushita clearly far enough out of the way, but they haven't felt the need to bring out the safety car. That works out beautifully for ourselves. We often want safety cars in this series, but we definitely don't want one today. That's worked out wonderfully for us. Yep, there we go. He's off the track. We live to fight another day. Perez into the pits as well as Bottas. So we are now going to be up into the lead of this Grand Prix with just 10 laps to go here from Paul Ricard. Charles Leclerc is going to be up into a net P2 with Räikkönen up into a net P3 here. So it's clear this strategy is really, really working at the moment. Amazon Web Services saying we're coming in. Don't think that's going to happen. At least not yet anyway. There we go. Neither of the Mercedes or Ferraris inside the top 5. And we've still got about 10 seconds over them with 10 laps to go. Have we been able to finesse a bit of a one-stop miracle here? We've got to try and keep these tyres in a good rhythm though. They're about halfway through the stint. They are going to be very, very worn at the end of the day, but we'll try and hang on to them as best as we can. On to lap 21. We've only got 7 laps to go then of this race, and it doesn't seem like either of the Mercedes or Ferraris are able to sneak past all the midfield cars at the moment. It's that, well, it's sometimes wonderful. In situations like this, it's wonderful. Where the AI, obviously, just in a train, they just DRS each other and you can't get past any of them at the moment. And it's working out beautifully for ourselves because we're pulling out a good few tenths a lap over Charles Leclerc. And he's quite comfortable in P2, so I'm sure he's happy with how this race is going at the moment. We certainly are as well. If the Mercedes and Ferraris are able to start sneaking by, then we're probably screwed. But until that point, we'll just keep trying to build a margin and see if we can hang on in there. 5 laps to go then. I was talking about how Charles Leclerc was quite comfortable, but he's been shuffled all the way back to this little group. Räikkönen is now up into P2. I'm pretty certain this might be his first podium since he won the US Grand Prix at the end of 2018. I don't think he got another podium in the final few rounds of that championship. So, yeah, he likes to wait between his big results in Formula 1 at the moment. But the gap to him now up to near enough 11 seconds at the moment. It is looking rather good for ourselves with 4.5 laps to go here. There we go. Rub some salt into the wounds. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well, with 3 to go here. We have really got some pace in this car at the moment, but I don't know why I'm so surprised by it. I think it's genuinely because since F1 2016, I've never had a car capable of winning Grand Prix week in, week out. But F1 2020 seems to be our game at the moment. We seem to have been able to find a lot of performance in this car in just a year and a half. We've now got 12.5 seconds over Raikkonen. Verstappen is up into 5th place there, but he's 14 seconds back. That won't be possible in 3 laps unless our tyres completely hit the cliff. Let's just bring it home and enjoy this absolute wonderful car. One more for the road, why not, eh? On to the final lap then of this French Grand Prix. What a race it's been at the end of the day. Qualifying, I know I've said it so many times over the course of this series, but qualifying, the pace wasn't quite there. We were about a second off the Mercedes, so I thought we're going to have to do something to try and get us in the mix. We'll try the alternate strategy. I'll be honest, as you can quite clearly tell there, it's been rather tight on the tyres this race. They've now got the warning once again up for 60% wear here, but we've been a bit lucky with other cars around us sort of playing into our hands strategy-wise. That whole midfield cluster that started outside the top 10 have been absolute saviours today, because if they weren't there, I think we would have been under a lot of pressure from the likes of Verstappen and Hamilton and Bottas, as well as obviously Vettel in the latter stages of this Grand Prix. But like I said, we've got to enjoy a car that's capable of winning races, because this sport evolves so quickly. Who knows how much longer this is going to last. Enjoy it whilst we can. That's what they always say in Formula 1, because it will never last forever. You have to remember these days, as Sebastian Vettel wisely once said as well. But in towards the final couple of corners then, it's going to be fastest lap and race victory for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, in this series. 26 points on the board here at Circuit Paul Ricard. Thank you very much. 3 wins in 4. We can fight for a title this year.
You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
Another superb French Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Ant, talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium. Let's have a quick look at how the driver's standings have changed. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
For me, it's Kimi Raikkonen, someone who definitely doesn't get enough attention for how well he performs out on the track.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. There was also a strong showing from the Mclaren team today, as they make their way up the standings. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula 1 action soon.
So there we are then, the end of the French Grand Prix there, and it's Formula 1's oldest and youngest driver joining us on the podium here today. We take home the race victory by 14.7 seconds in the end. Did someone nab fastest lap off me? Pierre Gasly, why? Why would you do that right at the end by 7 thousandths of a second? Pierre Gasly mugged off my fastest lap bonus point there, and he wasn't even going to get it for himself. What was the point in that, mate? Anyway, let's not get too tilted by that, unless I lose the World Championship on countback at the end of the year there. But yeah, Raikkonen comes home for P2. A fantastic job by the Finn to get his first podium for Renault there at the end of the day. Lando Norris in P3, a brilliant drive as well by the McLaren man, both making the one-stop work there, with Verstappen 4th, Stroll in 5th, ahead of both Mercedes, Leclerc, Vettel and Sainz rounding out the top 10 there. Our teammate George Russell was a bit butchered on the strategy. I don't know why the team don't make him follow me now at this stage of the year there. He finished though ahead of Perez, obviously last weekend's winner, and both Red Bulls there. No real surprises towards the rear of the field. Ocon really did, fall apart after that great opening first stage of the race there. Gasly in 16th there, the two Frenchmen 15th and 16th, not quite what they wanted there, ahead of Kvyat, De Vries, Jordan King, Magnussen and Latifi there, with Matsushita the one man not to make it to the checkered flag. World Championship wise though, 16 points now back from Valtteri Bottas. We've won 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix. A Drivers' Championship is possible this year. I think the Constructors, which is the main aim for the team, might be a little bit more difficult. We might need a bit more luck to get in towards the battle for that. But further down the order though, Raikkonen jumps past Esteban Ocon, his teammate there, tied on 37 points. Stroll gets bumped down behind the pair of them there on 34. Lando moves past his teammate Carlos Sainz, as there's just 3 points separating Norris, Sainz, Ricciardo, George and Alex Albon at this stage of the championship there. Magnussen down in 17th, Nobuharu Matsushita 18th there, with Pierre Gasly in 19th, and then both Williams and Nick De Vries yet still to put points on the board there. Constructors wise though, Renault moved back past Alfa Romeo in a battle that's constantly chopping and changing there, and Red Bull down to 9th at the moment there, only better than the backmarker teams of Haas and Williams at the moment. Oh, they have got a lot to recover over the second half of this year there. But Ferrari still just now 22 points ahead of ourselves as well. But we're 118 back from Mercedes. Yeah, we'll need a miracle if we want to be in the Constructors' battle at the end of the day. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, do make sure you get yourself subscribed. A big thank you to the continued support by our channel members as well. Obviously, if you want to join them, you can do for £1 a month by clicking the join button below. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow, ready for, I think, the Austrian Grand Prix, the midway stage of Season 2. Can we make a charge for the championship? You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.